Okay, let's get right back to business here. We are very honored and thankful that Billy King was able to make it this hour. He is standing by. Billy, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello, how we doing?
Hey, Billy, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, thanks again for being here. Gary Holland is standing by here. Say hello to Gary real quick. You still there, Gary?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, Billy.
Okay. All right.
Hello.
Billy, you're a busy family man. I hear the kids in the background.
Yeah, I'm actually throwing some steak on the grill right now, but
all right. Well, thank you. We talked to your uncle Brand last hour, and he went over your story to a degree. But what I'd like to do, and I don't know how many media appearances you've made, is let you just tell us the emotions that were going through you and what it took for you to understand that there was shooting going on. There was a lot of confusion there. And at what point did you say, "Oh my God, this is real"?
Well, it's crazy because the way I explain it is, I kind of say that love got me out of there, but the bullet woke me up. And the reason why I say it like that is because when we were there at the concert, we were, I'm pretty sure it's like the third or it was the fourth song that Aldine was singing, and so we kind of moved up towards the grass area, and we were right there. The first shots went off, and Kimberly, my wife, was like, that's gunfire. And I was like, no. It's like, babe, that's not gunfire. That sounds like fireworks, And I was just dumbfounded the whole time. So when those first shots went off, I was like, it's fireworks. And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So, and it was just crazy because the whole crowd was just pretty much mimicking each other. Nobody was really, everybody was kind of in the same situation where we just thought that it was fireworks.
What you're saying, I think, is everybody was trying to reassure one another that it's really nothing to worry about. Concert was fun. Everything's going well. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so from there, we were just like, okay. And so the next shots that came, the next burst of shots, that actually is when we got pretty scared and we hit the ground. And when we hit the ground, from there, I'm trying to do something.
It's all right. Take your time.
When we hit the ground, from there, we kind of made it through that burst that had happened. And so we stood back up, and we were like, we were definitely scared, but we were still, everybody was just kind of really not knowing what was going on.
Was Aldine still on the stage at this moment, or had he run?
Yeah, no, he was still on the stage, and when we stood up that next time, once he ran off the stage, then that's when we knew something was really going on. So from there, once he ran, we were like, holy cow, that's when we went to the ground for the second time. And then once we went to the ground for the second time, when we were down on the ground, I was covering Kimberly, and she looked at me and said, hey, I'm scared. I want to get out of here. So right when she said that, that's when I did like a push-up to get off of her, and that's when I got struck by the bullet. And when I got hit by the bullet, I covered up my chest, and I got pissed, and I screamed. I was like, mother effer, somebody shot me, and I was really pissed. So from there, we
excuse me, Billy, one quick question, please. You're really right in front of the stage at this point. You got a good view of everything. You're pretty up close, right?
Well, where the synthetic grass was, it was kind of like a half moon that went around, and we were on the outskirts of it, but I mean we were pretty decently,
Okay.
to the stage. I mean, we weren't far. Not
In other words, you were. If we were to draw a straight line from the stage out to you, it would be pretty straight. You're out there, and you hit the ground out there.
About 30 yards.
Okay, 30 yards straight out from the stage. I got it. 90 feet. Figure that. You were hit. You were hit there. When you were on the ground, your head would have been facing east, and your feet were back toward the direction the shots came from. Correct?
The way I was facing. So once we went to the ground, I was actually facing north, like kind of north, more north. I ran out towards the east, towards Reno, once I got hit, and we got out of there. But I was like, I really can't. It's so difficult to say, but I know we were facing the stage, and then basically when the fire and stuff was happening, we were pretty much turned away from the stage, and then that's when.
Well, if you were in any way, if your head was pointing north at all, or northeast even, there's no way that the 32nd floor could have been the point of origin of that shot. No way. You're facing the wrong way. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're here. Go ahead. So you got shot. You were very angry, which is an interesting response. You were really pissed off. You got up and you said, we got to go. Are people going down around you at this point yet?
Well, I honestly, this is where it got kind of vague to me. I really don't kind of really remember too much. I just know once that happened, I just grabbed Kimberly and I started to run. She said she was more in a situation, in a position where she saw a lot of things happening around her. And she said that this one girl she felt got shot in her face, which was running on the side of her. So me, in that situation and point in time, I'm just, at that time, I was just focused on getting out of there. I wouldn't really know what was going on around.
I understand. You had your hand over the wound and you were bleeding, and you're running trying to get Kimberly out of there. I got it.
Yeah, I was just trying to get out. So, but she had more of like where she was like seeing more of what was going on around with the situation.
Have you been talked to by any agency or official administration sources about keeping your mouth closed about this?
No. I haven't been approached by anybody.
All right, that's good.
No.
Gary,
you got a question for Billy? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, Billy. The lady that was shot in the face, would be, okay, as you're running towards Reno Avenue, which was like in direction towards Hooters, as you were running and your wife Kimberly, was Kimberly on your right-hand side or on your left-hand side?
And we were running out, so she was on my left-hand side because I had my right hand over my chest. She was holding my left. I was holding her with my left hand.
So she was kind of like on the northwest side of you. And the girl who was shot in the face, was she on the left-hand side of Kimberly too then, I'm assuming then?
Hey, baby. Was that girl that you said she was shot next to you, was she on your left side or was she on... She was on your left side, yeah. She was on your left side.
Okay. And so she was shot.
She felt. Yeah, she, and that, because we tried to explain to her about, how like with my bullet, like it came in from the back and came out the front, and like the I guess the exit is where it's worse, the exit wound, and so when she explains it about how she got shot, she explains it, with it coming, like she saw her face, but she said she went backwards instead of like forward. So if she got shot from like behind, then she would have fell forward, but she went backwards, she said. So she was kind of like really like concerned about that. She was like, I don't know. She was like, I think she got shot in her face. And, you know, it was just crazy once you're down in there. Like, honestly, that amount of time and with what happened, like, there's a lot of gray areas. It's just crazy. I never thought I would have a lot of gray areas, but I guess I do, you know?
No problem.
Well, when you're being fired upon, you know, you can't expect to, you know, come on, that's... it's designed for chaos.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask this question, and it's a generic question, but it needs to be asked. Did you hear gunfire from different locations? Do you have any recall of that? From side, from back, from left side, from in front? Now, that woman was shot apparently from the east to the west in the face on your far left. That would suggest gunfire from the Hooters area toward the body of people. All right. What are your remembrances, if any?
When we were down there, honestly, it felt weird. It felt strange. It felt, I don't know. But that's chaos. I really can't. The only thing I can say is, you know, when we got into, it just felt like there was bullets all around us. And once we got into Tropicana, like one of the people that were actually working the show that were back there, and they had a radio, they said that there was, you know, shots being fired at the Tropicana, and it's like, holy cow, you know. So we were just super scared. Like we were under the impression there was just like a battle or war. I don't know what was going on. We're just, you know, trying to flee for our lives, and when they said that, we were like, holy cow. So, like, I think, like, in the situation, it felt like bullets were coming everywhere. And once we got into Tropicana, and we were back there trying to wait for our next move, and we heard that there was shots fired there, which I guess multiple casinos said there were shots fired. And we were like, holy cow. So it kind of made us feel more like there was something going on, more to it. But, you know, I mean, who's to say in that moment, when we were down there, like, if, you know, we just felt like there was fire coming from everywhere. But
right, was the shots, the person who said they were firing from the Trop, were they suggesting the firing was inside the Tropicana, or was it from that location toward the concert venue?
Yeah, I think it was, like they said, like within Tropicana. I've heard multiple reports of quite a few other casinos having the same thing, where they reported shots, and then I guess supposedly there wasn't. You know, I don't know what to say, but when we were back there and we heard that, we were like, holy cow. All right. Some, you know,
we have a count of
but we're in a back hall, so
yeah,
like we're out where we experienced fire from.
Excuse me, Billy. Can I ask you one question? Did Metro, FBI, any investigator contact you at all to do any type of incident report with you, to take your story, or to a witness report, to take Kimberly's witness report? Anyone from Metro? Any detectives from Metro? Any detectives from the FBI? Anybody?
The initial, you know, questioning when we were in the hospital, that was, you know, what we received. But honestly, we really had no credible information of, like, you know, I was just shot and I got our butts out of there, you know, like, I really didn't have any.
Who talked to you in the hospital, Billy?
Oh, that was just
Metro.
You know, the police officer. Yeah, just you know, normal law enforcement and whatnot.
But no follow up, no follow up from any detective or any FBI, any agent from the FBI.
No. I mean, it's
interesting.
Simple, you know. I mean, I got shot and I got us out of there. Like, you know, there wouldn't be really much I can offer to, you know, that would, you know.
Well, you did what you're supposed to do.
Actually, I'm not asking, Billy. I wasn't mainly you. Yeah, they probably might not have, because you were shot. But your wife, Kimberly, wasn't shot, and that would have been a witness who was. Yeah, she was obviously under a great amount of stress, but she wasn't dealing at the same time with a wound like you were. And what I'm saying is, the patrol officer did an initial report at the hospital, but there was never any follow-up. In other words, like no one called up saying, hey, is there new things you remember? Can you give me some details? Walk through it again for me? None of that type of interview.
No.
That's very interesting. All right, let me ask another question about the crowd itself. There's supposedly 22,000 people there. Were they all running pretty much in the same direction, east, away from the noise of the gunfire? Or were they scattered and they were just scattered?
They were just scattered. Yeah, scattered. And honestly, I got us out of there pretty damn fast. Once I initially got hit, and we like literally, because I think on my iPhone,
yeah,
we had tracked like in that minute of like I guess how long we were walking, or like I got us out of there pretty quick. So. You know, that being said, I didn't really focus on anything. I just once I was coming out, I just I knew I was shot, and I was just trying to get us to safety, and I just know I didn't really have much observance of the crowd. I just got the heck out of there.
Did the law enforcement people, any of them, collect your iPhone at any time, or Kimberly's?
No. Actually, we switched phones when we were in the hospital. Actually, it was crazy. I had her phone and she had mine.
Anything? Was your phone running while you were making your escape? Do you remember?
Yep. Yeah, my phone. Well, I mean, I didn't have it like videoing or anything like that. No.
But you did get audio.
No, I didn't get anything.
Okay.
Prior, I got like Jason Aldean's like second song where I videoed it. That was it.
Okay. All right, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, I got another question, Billy. Before the shooting started, if you were to say you look around, was the more dense populated area of that concert like closest towards would be front of the stage? So, like, was it a more dense crowd in front of the stage, basically, because it's trying to get close to the stage to see, or was it, or did they have the venue set up where you weren't allowed to do that?
No. I mean, it was like any normal venue where you could get as close as possible.
You circulate wherever you want. You were about 100 feet, 30 yards from the stage, straight away back, about.
Yeah, I was back by where the VIP section was.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're facing the stage, it was to the right. I know a lot of people, it was kind of like a covering over the VIP area, and that's where a lot of the fire was located, was in that area. So pretty much.
Well, you just said something interesting. You said a lot of the fire was located in the VIP area. Do I hear you correctly that perhaps some of the gunfire was coming from that general vicinity? Or let me rephrase it. Did you at any time have a sense, you or Kimberly, that this was coming from 1,000 feet away, 32 stories up, 100 yards high in the Mandalay Bay Hotel?
We had no clue. I mean, it sounded like fire from, who knew? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like once we heard it, we were like, oh crap, it's like, right in front of us or anything like that. Nobody had no clue. That's why everybody was dumbfounded. Like, there was literally, everybody was like, what the heck's going on? Like, nobody knew. Like, we're just lost. We were like, the way I say it is, like a deer in a headlight.
The initial, Billy, let me ask you, the initial, what you thought where everyone started thinking it was firecrackers, would you say that sound was to the front of you, to the side of you, like, say, Las Vegas Boulevard side of you, Reno Giles Street side of you, which would be the east side, or behind you?
It was tough to say because that echo. Now that, like say when I watch videos and I literally go back through it, like, especially like Kimberly, she's got that down to like a T where she knows exactly how many rounds are fired. Like, she's really good at it. And so, like, when when I know where he went back and was firing in the hallway, you know, it just when we were out there, like you just had no clue of, you know, where it was coming
was it
from,
loud?
the sounds. Oh yeah.
Does it sound like firecrackers were being lit off in the distance, or would it sound like a firecracker that was lit off right in the crowd? In other words.
No, it just sounded like firecracker from somewhere, like out in the distance somewhere. It didn't feel like right down with you at all. It just felt like somewhere in the, you know, somewhere else, but not in the crowd. It was somewhere away, and that's why it just everybody was super confused because we had, you know, we had no clue where that was coming from. So.
Does Billy? We want to let you get back to your family. Does Kimberly want to say anything for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I can go in.
She's certainly welcome. If you, why don't you ask her to see if she'd like to put her 2 cents?
Hey, baby, would you like to talk to the show?
Jeff.
Okay, hold on one second.
Yeah.
It's Jeff and Gary, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Hello.
Hi, Kimberly. Jeff here, and Gary is here, and we both want to thank you and apologize for interrupting your dinner with your family. But
no worries.
This is a big deal, and Gary, why don't you go ahead and start with Kimberly? You got a quick question.
Yeah, hi, Kimberly. The question I was asking Billy was, okay, when you hear the initial fire and everyone, you astutely said it was gunfire, and Billy said he might have thought, and a lot of other people thought it was firecrackers. How, to your estimate, you know, just using your thought, how far away do you think them sounds were from where you were sitting?
From where I was, in the very first ones were really far away. But then once we hit the floor, they sounded like they were like up around us. So it sounded really close. Really?
So in other words, They were coming from not just the same location, they were coming from perhaps different locations and closer. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's how it sounded.
And as the burst went off, did it sound to you, I know there's a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, you were running, but did it seem to you that as you heard the gunshots, they were getting closer each time a burst would come out? In other words, like if you hear boom, 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 then the next round of boom, 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 it sounded like someone was actually moving. Like it would be like kind of like moving shooters. In other words, like the sound would be getting closer to you, in other words.
Yeah, it definitely sounded like they were really, really close. And the more we ran, the more closer they seemed.
Yeah. And would you say, Kimberly, the sound sounded like you were running towards the sound, or was it you were running and the sound was following you?
Like if it was following us.
Okay.
Here's one. I just want to put this on the table, Kimberly, and this is rather abstract, but the official word is that the firing all came from one location on the 32nd floor, as you know. That's 100 yards up in the air, about 1,100 feet away from you. That's 3, 6, 9. That's 3 1/3 football fields away from you. That's quite a distance. Did you feel that distance makes any sense in terms of your experience? The sound? We're trying to get the sound here.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. I assumed until we got to the hospital, when we were in the hospital, you know, I was paranoid because I thought that they were it kind of felt like it was the end of the world.
Oh, I can understand that.
Hospital,
yeah.
I didn't feel like we were safe either. So I started going into secret areas in the hospital to get I was stealing equipment, like scissors and bandages and stuff, for me to be able to take him out of the hospital and me take out the bullet myself, because I still thought that the bullet was in him. But that is
absolutely, that's fascinating, Kimberly, that you didn't feel safe in the hospital and you were trying to
No.
prepare to take care of your husband on your own. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it felt because I didn't see the news, anything yet. It just felt like they were coming to kill us anywhere we went. So when I finally got on the news, and they finally told me that I had to sit down, so the news was coming on, and now all of a sudden, when we barely got there, was about probably 5 people were there. But then in a matter of seconds, the room turned into 300 people in the waiting room. So when all that was happening, the news automatically went on the screens in the hospital, and they said that they got the shooter, that it was one shooter, and I was so confused that I couldn't understand how one shooter could do that.
You still feel the same way?
Yeah, I still feel like it doesn't make sense to me.
Right. The official story doesn't make sense. No. Well, it doesn't make sense to us either, Kimberly, so you're not alone. That's an amazing that's an amazing feeling that you described, that when you and Billy made it over toward the Tropicana, that you didn't know if America was being invaded, if there was a war on. You had no idea. And that carried over to the hospital, which is extraordinary.
Yeah, I actually have upstairs. I don't remember doing that until we got home. I started taking out all the stuff out of my bag, and then in my bag I found all the scissors. I had a surgery kit. I had a blue towels for when you're in surgery. I had gauzes. I had so many things, and I didn't remember until I took it out how I got it. I had not remembered that I did that until I saw all the stuff.
Wow.
When I saw everything, I was like, oh my God, I remember doing that. And I just felt like I was in survival mode, and just little things that I had forgotten because I was in shock. I realized until after.
They have a term for that. It's called fight or flight mode. That's what you were in. Your adrenaline was pumping so much. You're basically in what they call flight fight
or flight. And your number one goal was to take care of Billy. That's really special.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing to hear. Did you, when you...
I just dreaded...
Mm-hmm.
I dreaded coming home and telling my kids that their dad wasn't with me. That's what I dreaded the most. I couldn't even think about coming home to my kids and telling them, that their dad is dead. So
You thought you were going to lose him?
Yes.
Wow. I'm sorry to have to put you through that, but it's an amazing story. He was protected some. It wasn't his time, and he's got a family to raise and a wonderful wife to take care of, and that's what carried the day. The other thing I wanted to ask is, when you saw this girl to your left, this young woman, shot in the face and go down, and apparently Billy was trying to help her, and tell us about that, if you would. I know it's not easy, but it's important.
Basically, when we started running, because I knew that there were shots from the very beginning, I was trying to move him, and he was kind of shocked. He was kind of like a deer in front of headlights. He wasn't moving at all. And I knew that it was gunfire immediately. I knew that sound, and I was like, okay, I'm scared. I want to leave. I don't care if it's not gunshots or not. I want to leave. And we were on the floor, and he had his whole body over my head. In the moment that I said that, he said okay. And when he got up, it's when he got shot. And I couldn't move after that. I was shocked. I couldn't move, and I couldn't speak, nothing. And he just told me, he's like, I got, shot. We need to run. I need you to hold my hand and don't let go, and we're going to run. I need you to keep running. And I just looked at him like I couldn't move. And he's like, do you understand me? And I couldn't talk to him. And he just grabbed me and pulled me. So when we were running, we were going towards kind of the exit, which is where the next to Nashville and before all the vendors. And when we were running towards that way, I saw this girl next to me, and she was running with us. She was following Billy. and she was running with us, and then all of a sudden I turn around and I look at her again, and she gets shot in the face. And that's what made me wake up. That woke me up. And I started speaking again, and I told him, no, don't go that way, go this way. So when he went the direction where I told him, behind the porta potties, there was it was probably like a small little space to get out, and we all started getting out of there. So the only thing that I saw from her is her head go back, and then she fell to the ground, and
she was just gone, down, out. That was it.
That was it. Like, there's no way, because a lot of people, I saw a lot of people falling, and when they would fall, they would catch themselves with their hands or with their knees. The way that her body fell, it was lifeless.
Understand.
And I knew right there she was gone.
Do you remember at all thinking, we're running toward the Tropicana and Hooters, and yet this girl is shot in the face? That means maybe we're running toward gunfire. Did that thought come into your mind at all?
No, that's exactly what went through my mind. That's the reason why I told him go the other way. I thought that I thought the gunfire was coming from that direction.
Well, it was in that woman's case. It certainly was. Yeah.
Yeah, she got shot from a bullet coming from where the vendors were, which is away from the Mandalay Bay.
Got it. Anything?
So that end where you think the bullet came from, Kimberly, do you think it... Okay, say you're running towards Tropicana, because that's where you guys sound like you guys were exiting towards, like, the back end of Trop. Would that bullet, you think, would it came in from, like, say, the northwest side of the venue? Like, what I mean, like, it would be... If you were to take northwest out of the venue, you would cross over the street and you would see, like... Excalibur, New York, that general direction, that way, in other words.
Yeah, actually, no, the bullet came from the north side. So the way that we were running towards the north side. So we were running towards all the vendors and the exit. So we were running towards the street Reno.
So that'd be the northeast, kind of like the northeast direction, right?
Yeah.
Sort of toward Hooters, okay?
Yeah. And so the girl was on your left-hand side, because Billy said she was on your left-hand side, so she would have been, like, as I'm saying, you're running towards the northeast, but that bullet was coming, say, from, like, a northwesterly trajectory into her face, or did it go straight in, like, literally dead on and right in her face, or you just didn't, get a chance to get
it hit her in the face. It didn't hit her in the back of the head. It hit her in the face because her head went back.
Okay,
and then
perfect.
when she fell,
it
was just, I knew that it was.
Okay, no question. There again is evidence of at least a second shooter. All right. Now, Kimberly, is there anything you want to add that you think that would be helpful to us that we need to know? And our job here is to get the facts, and you've been wonderful, and so is Billy, in helping us understand. In that woman was shot from the northeast, that cannot possibly be explained by Stephen Paddock in the 32nd floor. No chance.
Yeah, the way that a lot of people explain that to me, when I say that, they always say that it could be ricocheted, or it was because the bullets were flying and bouncing from everywhere. Yeah. So they can't. That's what they tell me, but I don't know. Like I know what I saw, and
it's hard to imagine a bullet coming from the hotel would ricochet 180 degrees backward, the opposite direction, and hit somebody in the face. That just doesn't work. So, anything else, Kimberly, that comes to mind? That was an amazing story about the hospital. Wow.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty much it.
When you saw other people going down, you said that they were grabbing themselves or they'd go down to a knee. About how many other people did you see go down? Do you recall? Lots or a few?
It was lots. It was lots of people.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
hip. There was actually at a point that like a group of 10 people all fell down, and then people were like walking over them, running over them.
10 people were dropped, apparently from gunfire?
No, like they just fell. I don't know if it was one of them got shot, and then all of a sudden, because they were all holding each other's arms.
I see.
And then when one fell, they all fell at the same time, and there was so many people that it was just falling everywhere, and I can't really tell how many people were actually that were shot. I just saw the most obvious, which is when they would just fall and their eyes would close. Or
You were seeing something that is indescribable. The lights were still on at that time. Everything was lit up. I guess the stage lights were on, correct?
Yes.
All right. How did you manage to get medical help to get to the hospital when you made it to the trop?
We made it to when we made it to trop, there was no way of us getting medical attention for him, so we decided to go to Hooters. So when we got out, we started running towards Hooters, which at the same time I was actually on the phone with my friend, and I checked my phone and it said that it was 3:38 when I called him, and they were still shooting. So when we were running to Hooters, they were still being shots thrown, and you could still hear the gunshots, and he even heard them on the phone while I was on the phone with him. And then when we got to Hooters, I just told him, "Oh my God, they're everywhere!" And then he's like, "Do you need to get a car?" And there was this car coming towards me, and then I was like, "Oh, well, she doesn't stop." And then he told me, "Just jump in front of her." So I jumped in front of her car, and she stopped, and I begged her to take Billy, and she was a Lyft driver. And she took Billy to the hospital.
Wow. So what was the time difference on the phone again?
So it was, I called him at 10:38, and that's when he picked up, and we were on the phone. We were walking towards Hooters, so like around probably like not even a minute later, they started shooting again, and I told him, "Oh my God, they're shooting!" And he's like, he said that he could hear the gunshots.
So around 10:40, 10:39, 10:40, there's still firing going on.
Yes.
Did you see anything or hear anything about alleged firing in Hooters?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I just heard, like, they just tell us, like, people who have spoke about it.
Yes.
They said that they heard gunshots, and they said that I saw, like, a video of someone saying that there were shooters at the Aria. And then my friend, it's crazy, it's my friend, I saw him there when all this was going on, and he was one of the security guards at the event. And he got on his walkie-talkie to try to get Billy some help, and then they told him, "Oh, you're going to have to go somewhere else, bro, because they're shooting inside the Tropicana."
Wow.
So then he told me, "We're going to have to take him back outside," and I was so scared because they were still shooting. So I didn't want to go back outside, but that was our only.
And you could hear this shooting when you were over in the vicinity of Hooters?
Yes.
Where did the shooting seem to be coming from? The same location back at the venue?
It just seemed like it was coming behind us, because even when we were walking him over there, when they started shooting again, there was people behind us that said, "Run, run," and then the guy that was helping me hold him, he said, "Don't run, don't listen to them, just keep walking, keep walking." He didn't want to run because we were holding Billy.
Understand.
I was holding him in one hand and the other hand, so he was like, "No, don't run. We're going to get him help."
Wow. All right, Kimberly, we're going to let you go back to your family, and thank you so much on behalf of so many people who really care about this event. There's so much on the internet now that's trying to confuse people, say it never happened, these weren't real gunshots, that there were crisis actors.
I got a couple comments like that in his pictures, saying that he's going to hell because he faked all of this, and
don't
ridiculous.
Don't even. Those people are in most cases paid to put those kinds of comments up. They're government shills. They're trolls. You know the game, so don't.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Kimberly. You've been wonderful. We really appreciate it. And thank Billy again.
Yes, will do.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Well, if you look up at the top of the homepage, second story up there, Billy King in hospital, shot from back and out chest. You can see the chest wounds right there. It's obviously one of those miracles that he survived. I just, these people, Gary, these trolls, these government hacks, these wherever they are in Israel, New York, I don't care where they are. This is just inhuman psychopathy. It's sick.
Yeah, because their whole job is to try to discredit viable witnesses like Kimberly and her husband. You see, and what they're trying to do is to make them look unbelievable. But obviously, you hear the woman's story. You could tell just by the way she's talking, that was complete. That was the fight or flight.
Absolutely.
What happens to anybody, even with the she was still fully pumped up at the hospital. You could tell with big chaos and the mind was racing still, and she was still in that mode. She was still in fight or flight mode.
Well, Billy, Billy was obviously he wasn't out of it, but he was in kind of that twilight of shock. Yeah. And he couldn't. 100%.
Yeah. Think about 100% adrenaline. I mean, to be shot like that and to be able still to maintain your composure to get out of the area and to have all that. And what she said was very interesting. That as they were running and what I was trying to get at, you look at the picture, you see where the trailer top shooter. If you look in the background, that's Excalibur. That's the northwest portion of that venue. And as they're running to the northeast, which would have been northeast direction towards Hooter, which would have been the other corner of the north end of that venue, she said the sounds were getting closer to her from the backside, and as it was like they were being chased from behind. And the girl who was shot in the face would have been the direction that bullet came in. Sounds to me they came in from a northerly northwest direction, which would have been the far end of the Tropicana. That area, there's a parking garage in that area right there. There's a construction area going on, some build, and on the other side of the road would have been Excalibur. So where I was talking about these teams, you have a three-man team sweeping in from the northwest, and one sweeping in from the west to the east, one from the northwest. So you got these guys aren't going to be in a bunch; they're going to spread out a little bit. So you have three men. And as people are running towards them, because technically they're still, even though technically they're kind of running away from them, they're not, because these guys are moving northwest to southeast, and these guys, other ones are probably say moving west, even maybe couldn't possibly even go in southwest to northeast. You see what I mean? And these guys are moving, and these people are it's like a turkey shoot. And to me, it sounds like when she said 10 people went down, I believe, because she was in a hurry, and I but man, that was valuable information, because I think all 10 might have been shot, and they all went down at the same time because there was just in a bunch spray. And
there would be a sprayed burst could take them down. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And just you hear that story and the Hooters, and it sounds to me like shots are coming from behind Hooters, which think about this, as people running towards Hooters, they start laying rounds at the people heading towards Hooters even. And it would sound like it's actually inside of Hooters, and possibly could have been even some guys around the perimeter of Hooters to get them to try to get them to come back towards the venue. So it seems like to me what they were trying to design to do is people contained into that venue. They wanted people running back and forth to stay in that perimeter area where they would have the easiest way to shoot at people.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's a real and that important piece of information people got to remember. How Billy was lifting up like a push-up, and that bullet came in down near the kidney and traveled up and an upward direction and came out of the upper end of a chest area. Okay.
Yeah.
That means you got to you had it 100% right. There's no way. And matter of fact, the way his back was facing wasn't even facing towards the 32nd floor of Mandalay, where them rooms were anyway. But there was no way that was coming from a shot that far away from a high angle.
100 yards high.
Yeah, there's no way, because that angle was actually from ground level up. So, basically, someone seen him lifting his back up, and these bullets and just basically shot him right in the back.
Yeah, and it didn't.
Could have even been and by the way, it might have even been as people were on the ground that you have guys start walking. These guys are, and like I said, in a kneeling position. And matter of fact, I don't know how that venue might have even a slight elevation from the north to the south end of that.
I don't know.
And usually that's the way they build these concert venues, by the way, because the stage is at the south end of the venue. So it would make sense that they would put a gradual to the north end or back end of that concert. You'd have a grade upgrade, grade up, because you want the people far in the back would be at a higher elevation,
be able to see, of course,
to see the singer on stage. Yeah. So then when you're Billy and you're half, and it sounds to me like he was like maybe a quarter distance to the north from that stage. He's coming up, basically like in a push-up position.
Right. A
man of a little bit higher elevation, because like I said, you got guys walking in from the north end of this venue, a little bit higher grade, and they're kind of like, basically, if you're in the very far back of that venue, you would be kind of like a little bit of an elevation, like a little hill. You'd be looking down on the people, in other words. You see what I mean? Because you want to be able to see the stage. That's the way they design these things.
Right.
And that it sounds like if he's at the kneeling position, boom, 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 lay some bullets out. That bullet came right in, just not perfect. There's nothing perfect about it, but came in at a high velocity, entered the lower part of his back, and as he was getting up, boom, came out of his chest. And if you remember what Billy said, Kimberly said that she could hear the bullet whiz by her head. And that would have made sense, because that's coming out of his chest, and he was protecting her, and it flew right by, ricocheted off. And that girl shot in the face was not from a ricochet. No. Not dropping as fast as she did. A ricochet would never. Because it was actually, if you understand the way he was talking, they're running in an open area. What did it do? It basically, I can understand if she was maybe 10 feet or less, 5 feet from a wall, where it ricocheted down and immediately went to her head. But they were in an open area. That ricochet doesn't work. It doesn't come that high of a velocity where it would literally hit her in the face and then boom, drop her down backwards, like literally pushed her backwards. Like the impact made her go down.
Well, it's like the JFK assassination. Yeah. They're claiming that he was, even though he was shot from the front, they're saying, no, it was a rear shot and his head snapped back. Come on. Same thing. All right, here's something. There are a couple things I want to point out here, then we're going to take a break. What I'm going to do is ask Gary to stand by after the top of the hour, and our next guest is Karen Smith. And Todd, if you could tell Karen, get her on the line, that I need about 10 minutes in the top of the next hour. She'll be fine with that, because I want to go through this particular video I've been talking about with Gary because of his expertise and all the things that he's been really putting together in a terrific formulation to explain how this happened. The second story at the top of the homepage is Billy King in hospital, shot from back and out chest. And you can see the picture there. You can understand it. Just keep in mind he was in that just beginning to push up position to get off of Kimberly so he could grab her and move out. Then you'll have also there's a number of videos right below that you'll want to see. They're all there. I've got them separated up into live fire section, eyewitness section, so you can watch people explain their stories on video, eyewitness accounts. I'm going to put the compost stories all in the same file. And yes, we understand that there may be more than one Jesus Campos, and there may have been more than one that went across the border. So I don't know that it was the same one or not, but that's what we got from Fox. A really good job. I think you could tell that Billy was he was speaking very, very clearly about what he remembers, but that was such a fight or flight adrenaline dump that a lot of it, like he said, was kind of gray areas. Understood. Meanwhile, his wife, Kimberly, is so together and focused on him that she went around the hospital grabbing surgical kits, gauze, cloths for bleeding. Unreal, and had no remembrance of it until she got home. That's really special. Final quick comment, Gary, and I'm going to ask you to stay because I want to go through that video here.
Yeah, just a very detailed, one of the best accounts I've heard so far. I mean, very detailed and a lot of information that starts to confirm a lot of things that I've been thinking all along.
Yeah, very good. All right.
Yep.
We're going to take a break, come back, and then we're going to ask all of you to load up a video. We're going to look at it. It's very important because I think it's basically smoking gun proof that there was at least, and I think we know there are more, one shooter at virtual ground level on top of an RV. You'll see. We'll come right back in just a few.